groups I've looked up still have trauma healing groups still have a religious take on them when I've reached out to them, to be honest, or they feel, or I've asked about how they can provide space for queer folks, for POC folk, and it feels very like an all-female group. But your client can be a part of that, or this would be, it doesn't feel welcoming, right? Or it still feels like it's having a Christian message or a Jewish message, right? So is this group still having that? Like, is it still going to be something that preaches to connect to God or connect to religion? Like, what's kind of your idea with this?
No, certainly not. I mean, that feels re-traumatizing, and that also feels way too fast. My ideal hope, and this is a slow burn. This is a slow process. This is going to be an ongoing group because this trauma is so pervasive. I mean, exactly what you're saying, right? Like, how many churches are on street corners? How many times do we have to interact with our family that is still gonna like have us pray when that isn't like where we find support, and we find a lot of pain. So that's why it was really important to do this in an ongoing way. And not having the lens. Right now, currently, the folks that I know that are joining do come from a Christian background. So that is a lot of shared language that we all have. And like, so my ideal hope, much down the line, is that being in spaces that are still religious, or talking with folks who identify as Christian, or that there can be enough safety in yourself and the ability to regulate yourself because of the tools gained in this group, that you don't have to cut off, you don't have to disassociate to be able to be present with that person or in that space. Because it was already limiting enough going through religious trauma. Like, I want freedom, I want liberation to like that not have to be the container, or the cage rather. It is, seeing a lot of, I think more so like female identifying folks reaching out. And, we could say that's due to, taboos of men in general with mental health. And also I think there's just so much pain specifically for female identifying folks growing up in the church because of the patriarchal values. And it is very important to have diversity, to have different experiences represented. So we have a couple who are interested, who are, are male or gay and queer. And that's really important. It also, honestly, it'd be really weird to me if like this group didn't have any gay people. Like, it would be really weird because the queer folks, the trans folks, the non-binary folks were the ones that were most like isolated and most like tried to kept down. Sorry, I fudged that, but yeah, that's.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. I completely agree with you. And kind of, similar off that same idea of like intersectionality, like what are ways in which like the group will hold space for like race, religion? I mean, you kind of already alluded to like LGBT folk, but LGBT folk can come from plethora of different races, different religions, different faiths. Right. I think your big like home message to kind of like loop to the back is like coming home, right? But like, how does that hold safety with the intersectionality of race and religion? Is it being named? Like, what does that look like in the group for you?
Yeah. I mean, it certainly needs to be named, needs to be acknowledged. And a huge thing that needs to be acknowledged is I'm a white female. I'm a white cisgendered able-bodied female, and I leading the group. Therefore, like power dynamics are already, very clear. So in that way, being able to acknowledge, being able to discuss, and I'm appreciating that I'm doing individual intakes before the group so that I can have an hour-long time to discuss with folks, like, and meet with them personally before we get into the group setting. And that's really important so that I know, okay, how do you want to be referred to in the group? What's helpful if you aren't like asking a lot of questions? Can I call you out by name and say, oh, can you share on this? Actually, can you talk or respond? Because obviously wanting to give power and agency to all individuals and especially BIPOC community, right? So being able to meet with folks first, being like, if I'm calling you out and wanting you to talk a little bit more or discuss a little bit more, does that feel safe to you? Or do we need to build up a little bit more trust before that can happen? How do I know what's going to be the look on your face when you're shutting down? How do I know in your body that you're feeling angry? Did that answer your question?
I mean, it answers it. I think you're getting kind of the intake portion. And then it sounds like by creating that space on the phone or if it's video in the beginning, like you're also welcoming them to reach out to you throughout if they feel okay.
Yeah. And that's really important to me. I think of one client that I work with who's trans, and she has been in group settings that did not care for her. And I know the responsibility of the facilitator and being able to make it very clear of like, this is a group, we all discuss, we all collaborate together. And if you are not feeling safe and you're not feeling safe enough to voice it in the group, please come to me. And hopefully the onus is on me too. Like I should be able to recognize, this group is capping off at 8 people because it is virtual. I want to be able to, I can see everyone. But that's on me too. That's something that
sure. That makes perfect sense. And then, I just don't want to miss anything. Is there anything you wanted to add about either the group or religious trauma? I was going to ask like next about like book recommendations or podcasts, but if there's something before that, I thought I should ask you.
I know. I liked all your questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it'll evolve, right? You'll see what the group really needs over time since it's a diverse group. Yeah.